Good morning, everybody. Wisconsin's 25th District Senator Romaine Quinn is our very special guest today, Thursday, September 25th, 2025. For DrydenWire.com, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching DrydenWire Live, presented by Americans for Prosperity Wisconsin. Americans for Prosperity Wisconsin works to reignite the American dream and break down government barriers that hold us back from our full potential. Visit AFPWisconsin.com and join AFP to fight for more freedom for all Wisconsinites. With that, we welcome back to the show our guest who joins us on the last Thursday of each month, Wisconsin's 25th District Senator Romaine Quinn. Romaine, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a beautiful morning.
It is a beautiful morning. It's a beautiful morning to be inside.
It's a beautiful morning to be outside. And granted, I have to be outside because I have two feral children who are running around the inside of the house right now. We have no daycare today. And so hopefully the door's bolted. Hopefully they can't get out here. So that's why I'm outside. So thank God for the beautiful weather because I have to be outside.
Funny. I saw you had commented. So Drusha and I and the kids, we went down to Jellystone, Three Bears.
Oh, yeah.
For a few days. And I saw you commented something in there about tents. Like you used to go down there, right?
Well, yeah, I said, is there still poor people section? Like it's so commercialized now. There's cabins and condos. I remember we used to go where there was a man-made lake. Now it's a giant indoor water park. And I'm like, is there a poor section yet for people like us that used to show up and put tents up because we couldn't afford to stay in a cabin? But I don't know if they still have.
Yep. So there's two. It's like two parks. There's the Three Bears, which is the huge indoor one, but there's still Jellystone, and that's the one they have a man-made lake and they have all the outdoor. So there's two. And they kind of share all the villas and stuff. But
so they do still have that. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
We got to splurge a couple times, but we were way in the back in the.
Yeah. So I don't understand it though. Like tents, you gotta explain that to me. I mean, I guess I kind of get it if you just want to take a tent and put it outside in your lawn. I don't know why you would do that, but for the experience. But at places like that, you still have to rent the area to put your tent. So my question to you is, why would you pay to reduce the quality of your life?
You must have missed the part about being poor, Ben. We couldn't afford the cabin. So obviously renting the ground at Jellystone was a lot cheaper and putting up your own tent than renting an actual place to stay. But I remember it's crazy how that's blown up. Every time I drive to Madison, I drive by and I think back on that and how much it's grown and the cabins and the investment. And it's quite the property. So when you posted that, a lot of memories came back. So that's why.
Yeah, we should go down there.
I'll ever catch you in a tent.
No. I'll stay in the villa. You guys can stay in the tent, but we should absolutely go down. Our family, your family, and have the kids go all play in the park. Oh, that'd be fun. Hey, we have holy cow, there's a lot to get to. And I usually write down a couple of topics to talk about. I have like 13. I don't even know if we'll be able to get to all of them. Obviously, the big news was Representative Tiffany officially enters 2026 Wisconsin governor's race. Yep. My goodness, that just flooded everything. For the last since he announced, when was that? Tuesday afternoon at like 3:00. He officially announced. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously like the worst kept secret in politics, in Wisconsin politics, right? And I think there was a time where maybe he was still weighing it, but I was hopeful he would announce. But man, I was at his event last night over in Wausau, the Peterson Barn. Never been there, an event barn venue, beautiful venue. It was packed. People were pumped. I saw people from all persuasions. People from Price County, people from Douglas County made the trip. I saw. That's 3 hours away. I think at least for up north, people are excited to have the opportunity to have a governor with Northwood's roots. And we are excited to share our candidate with the rest of the state, an authentic Wisconsinite, truly in his roots, and not someone that maybe has a home in another state or something like that. So I hopefully that really resonates with people. Someone born and raised here, lived the American dream, started a business, raised a family, the whole boat, and he just wants to give back. So I couldn't be more excited, and I am totally in Tom Tiffany's camp. I
was talking to a couple of my Republican friends, and I actually they're friends, but also like political, I wouldn't say insiders, but people that have been on campaigns quite a bit. And I asked them, and this included some of their own candidates they've been on campaigns for. I said, well, when was the last time you as a Republican were this excited about a candidate, a Republican candidate, for a statewide race in the last 10 years. And interestingly, they all said never, not this excited. Why? Why is it Tom Tiffany that people, I mean, these are people down in Madison. Why are they that excited?
Well, I mean, obviously Tom has connections in Madison, right? He served in the legislature. He was on the Joint Finance Committee, which now I'm on. He was part of drafting 2, if not 3 state budgets. And Tom was always known in Madison to have a backbone, to be a conservative reformer. You may not have agreed with him, but you still liked him as a person, and you moved on. He wasn't one of those that was slimy or played the game or tried to log roll a vote in order to get a bill through. He wasn't like that. He was just Tom, right? And I think he's been the same in DC, and I think that's attractive for people. Whether you're a lobbyist in Madison trying to get something done, I mean, at least you know where the executive is, right? And then you know what you're working with. It's not this slimy game of politics. And I just think people are just ready for some sanity again with what's going on in DC and even in Madison, just the craziness. I think they're just looking for someone authentic, truly Wisconsin, to really kind of bring us back to our common sense values. And again, even if you don't agree with Tom on every issue, and I don't expect you to, and there might be issues where him and I differ on, you'll never know where he's at, and you can never question that he's genuine. And so I think that's refreshing.
I just looked it up, so just thought of it. A friend of mine who's self-described, very liberal, said, this was after I ran a story last Friday announcing, because we had a source that said that he was going to be running for governor, and it was going to be announced this week. And he had sent a message that said, please, 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 I hope Tom Tiffany wins the GOP primary. He will get creamed by even a weak Democrat. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. It's an uphill battle for anybody, right? Even Trump's wins in Wisconsin were very narrow. Governor Walker's wins were very narrow. But I don't think that's the case. So if you look the base of the party and the majority of the votes that are electing Republicans now, maybe not the majority, but they're shifting away from the Southeast and the WOW counties. Republican votes are softening in the suburbs in Waukesha, Washington, Ozaukee, and the numbers are really rising in Marathon and our rural counties. And at some point, you can only squeeze so much juice out of the same fruit, right? There's only so many votes to get in these outstate areas, but there's really been a shift in the party and where a lot of these votes are coming from. And that's where Tom's from. And I think he resonates with that base. And I think if we have any shot of keeping some kind of a Trump type coalition together, you got to have that kind of a candidate, right? Someone that can walk into a bar in rural Wisconsin and get someone excited to vote for him, right? And so I don't know. It's going to be tough no matter what. Yeah. I've heard a lot of people too say, oh, there's no way he wins the Southeast. Well, guess what? The last couple of times who you've wanted to run didn't win either. So I think it's time for us to run a different kind of candidate. And I think that's Tom.
Bill Berrien, there was a story that came out. I'm sure you saw that a few days ago. I think it was earlier this week that it kind of came out. I think the Journal Sentinel had a story about that, about he was following some things. I don't want to get into it. People probably know what that is. If not, just Google it. Is that from a campaign standpoint? Do you survive that stuff, or is it? Let me ask you this: is that a big deal in a campaign? No, not a big deal. What is that? How big of an impact is that going to make on his future and decision to stay in the race?
Well, I didn't even know what Medium was, so I'm probably the most technologically challenged millennial in the state of Wisconsin. So I'm not even on Twitter. I think my staff have my Twitter account. I'm not on Twitter. Or X, sorry. See, I can't even call it the right name, right? And so I didn't even know what Medium was. I had to Google it, and it's like some platform where you can read articles or publications, and apparently he was following profiles of porn stars and whatever. And so I have no idea even what it is. Obviously, it's not a good look, and someone's going to use it negatively. I would say we all have mistakes made in the past, and eventually they come to light. And when you're running for governor, they're going to come to light. Yeah. But I would say, I think on policy, there's a lot of issues, ranked choice voting, et cetera, those things that he's had ties with. And not only that, so there's a staffer in Madison, it's Eric Brooks. He's very vocal on Facebook on his personal page. He works for a state representative. And he pokes the bear, right? And it's politics. I mean, I get poked all the time, and you don't retaliate. You don't say things that you don't mean or don't go overboard. You try to rebut things nicely. And he's got a screenshot of Bill Berrien actually tweeting, F you, Eric, you're an ASSHOLE. And I'm like, man, you were in the middle of a gubernatorial race and you are tweeting the F-bomb at a staffer in Madison because he's that under your skin on Facebook. I mean, that just blows me away. So I think it's the beginning of the end for his candidacy.
I don't understand how you don't like vet yourself or have your team kind of vet that stuff. That part's really kind of blows my mind. Wait, hold on. Is that a question? Polk County, Wisconsin, progressive. I don't see how you can run a gubernatorial candidate that is vocally oppositional to the Milwaukees and Madisons of the state and expect a good outcome either electorally or in office.
Well, I don't know who runs that page, and I don't know if there's any progressives left in Polk County, so I'm just no point responding to that. Yeah, I always love when people can't make comments on their personal page. Like, you've got to hide behind some kind of a front because you won't put your own name on a question or usually a condescending remark.
You know what? And now I think they had commented before, and I think we had the same conversation before, and I forgot all about it. Let me move on to the other thing. And by the way, I just wrote down ranked choice voting. I want your opinion about that, but let's keep moving along here. I saw this morning that former Democratic lawmaker Brett Hulsey launched bid for Wisconsin governor. Your thoughts on that? Did you know him when he was? I don't know when he was. I didn't even read the article because I've never even heard of him before.
Yeah, I don't know who the heck he is.
Oh,
so
there you
go. I'm guessing he has zero chance. Yeah, and I mean, frankly, we, legislators, what we do is really important. Sometimes we forget, like even I forget, right? I'm one of 33 people in the state of 5.5 million that get to cast votes. Like, it's a really big deal. Oh. But once you leave office, you're not that important. It doesn't take very long for people to forget who you are. So even if you were really great at your job, Wisconsinites move on. People move on, right? And so, like, he was in office. I've been in Madison close to 10 years. I couldn't tell you who that is, right? And you've got current representatives, on the Democratic side running for office. So I don't know who patted him on the back and said, you're the best shot we got. You should run. But somebody did. That's why you need friends that are honest, not just friends that build you up.
Yeah. But speaking of that,
hey, buddy, there's 5 people in the race. I don't think you're going to cut it.
Right. Yeah.
Someone's got to be that friend.
Do you think Josh Call's going to get into the race? Because here's the thing. Everyone's been talking to him for a year. I don't think he's going to. It's just I have nothing to back that up other than I just don't think he's going to.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he'd be formidable. Obviously, he's been elected statewide. I think he can raise money. But I would hope people question his time in office, and the use of lawfare. Like, his entire job is either to sue the Trump administration or to capitulate in his duties on defending our own state laws. And look at how he went after the mayor in Wausau when they were trying to just get a handle on that lockbox. He sent him a letter from DOJ and even acknowledged the mayor didn't even break the law and ran him through the ringer. I was talking to Senator Tomczyk the other day, and he actually wants to hold a hearing in Wausau and subpoena call and make him come up and answer for it, because you don't get to intimidate local elected officials because it plays into some national narrative about election security and you're on the other side of it. That's a bunch of crap. So I hope some of that comes out. But man, the field's getting thick. It's going to be who can raise the money to outlast the rest, really, I think, especially if they all stay in it. So it's going to be interesting. They're going to have a wild primary on that side, man, between Representative Hong, caucuses with the socialists in the assembly, post the C word on Twitter. I think they're trying to be, during the last April election. I think our whole goal is to try to be edgy, to gain some traction. And if you can hold 10% of that progressive vote to get you through, maybe that'll do it. But it's going to be a wild primary on their side. That
almost seems like the opposite of what you Republicans have been used to. Usually it's a whole bunch of Republicans, and then everyone runs out of money, and all the funders, they spend all their money already after the primary, and it's like, not a lot of money left for the general. And it seems like, I would assume, I'm just assuming here, with Tiffany in, I don't think we're going to see a Hovde or a Michaels get in. This is just my assumption as it stands kind of right now. Tiffany does seem to be the front runner by all accounts, by all measures. And then the Democrats, it's like the opposite of what we're seeing is my point. So it's going to be weird for you guys.
Yeah, it'd be a nice change. Well, and I want, I think the Berrien campaign is underwater, and I think they got to do some real soul
Yeah.
searching. But I don't know how much his personal net worth is. I heard he's already burned through $3 million. And if you're not a front runner after spending $3 million, you should
I
probably do
mean,
some
right.
soul searching. But I wouldn't rule out Schumann yet either. He's young. He seems to have a great resume. He seems very likable. I mean, if Tom wasn't in, I
True.
think he'd be a formidable candidate. Reminds me a lot of Scott Walker. But again, the party's changed. The base is shifting where things are, and we'll see. He might stay until August too. But hopefully we can unite, and I think we will. He had a very classy post saying, "Welcome Tom to the race." It's a race about ideas,
Looking
and
forward
whatever.
to the
So
yeah. That was really
so I
good.
think the best guy wins, and then we unite, and which we're not good at doing. So hopefully,
Right.
like you said, the shoe's on the other foot. So
Daryl asked, "What's up with the large solar farm south of Barron?"
oh, Daryl, yeah. So there's obviously a
Daryl.
large, large. No, good question though.
Oh, okay.
There's a large development. I think it's almost 2,000 acres, something like that. I know people that hate it. I've got family members that hate it, that are near it. I know
They
good
should.
friends that are in on it, that are the farmers that are going to benefit from it. And I think we have to walk this very fine line of what rights do you have over your own land? Should your neighbor be able to tell you you can't put solar panels on, or you can't build a shed, and you can't do? I mean, I hate zoning. We've talked about this before.
Yes, we have.
It's just crazy the authority counties have over what you can do on your private property when you don't impact your neighbors. So it's a tight one to walk. But I don't like to see the farmland getting gobbled up by this. A lot of these, the irony of this, it's all these solar panels are coming from China that we're putting on, our farmland. So we've looked at bills, maybe only American-made solar panels on American farmland. Obviously, we've got bills to, stop the buying of land by foreign countries, etc. But what I would say is, we've had a draft of legislation. It was in another bill that didn't get done, but to protect property rights. Because at the end of the day, as a realtor, if your house sells for less because of something your neighbor did, and you moved into that not knowing your neighbor was ever going to do that, you should be held harmless. Because at that point, if you
Agreed.
lose value, it's a taking of property, right? And that's not right. And so we figured this out when the sand mines came in. A sand mine gets built. You want to move. We had property value guarantees negotiated. So if you want to move and you get less than fair market value or appraised value, the sand company would pay you the difference. So they'd keep you whole. So if you wanted to move, your house was worth 300.
Wow.
No one would only give you 200. You were held harmless, right? So I think we really need to protect taxpayers, property owners from not only these kinds of developments, but any kind of development, right? Because we shouldn't allow people to basically take the value of someone else's property.
Yeah. Let's move on here. Another thing that came out, I think it was just yesterday morning. We had this on DrydenWire. The headline was Trump conservative Jessi Ebben announces candidacy in Wisconsin 7th. So, what is it, Thursday? So, Tom announced Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon that he was running for governor, thus opening the 7th congressional seat. The next morning, Jessi Ebben announced her candidacy for the 7th congressional. Your thoughts?
So I like Jessi a lot. When she announced early on in the 3rd congressional district back in 2020, I think it was, I said whatever I can do to help. My district doesn't go that far. I know some people, in that Eau Claire County area. And then, Derek Van Orden jumped in, Navy SEAL, obviously Congressman Orden won that primary and is still the congressman today. And I hope he can hold on to that seat. He's in a tough reelect too. But yeah, I just struggle. It's no different when, Jason Church ran against Tom Tiffany last time. I just felt he moved into the district to run. Again, I like her personally. I'm guessing I know she's conservative now, but it just feels like we're the second pick to prom, right? Like you wanted somebody else and we're your fallback. Your whole life you've lived in the 3rd congressional district. You're from Eau Claire. You're registered to vote in Arcadia. And then when the opportunity comes, you move north just over the line so you can run in the 7th. So I would just say Northern Wisconsin is a special place. We're unique, we're diverse, but we're very similar. And I think it really takes someone with roots in the Northwoods to really get that and understand that. And I think there's going to be quality people actually from here that can run. And part of me, it's just almost kind of insulting to think that there's not someone qualified out of the 270 some thousand people, north of that Highway 29 line that are born and raised here that aren't qualified to do it, that someone actually has to move in to do it because the rest of us aren't good enough to do it ourselves. So we'll see how it plays out. There's going to be a robust primary. I can't imagine there's only one person getting in. Anyone that runs, I wish them the best. And again, personally, I probably will know or like everyone that jumps in that race. And obviously we'll coalesce around the winner, whoever that is, because we got to keep this seat. We got to hold Congress. We're going to keep this seat. And it's important to continue the agenda so we don't make Trump a lame duck president. But yeah, I guess that's my thoughts so far. Sure. But man, it's early. It's a safe seat. I think people are going to come out of the woodwork to throw their hat in the race.
All right. We have a whole bunch more to get to. We'll do that all in 15 seconds after a word from Spooner Health.
Compassion is at the center of everything we do. It's rooted in who we are and why we're here. It unites us as providers, neighbors, and as a community. Learn more at spoonerhealth.com.
All right. We had a press release it was a joint press release. I think it was earlier this week. Headline was Felzkowski. Hey, speaking of the 7th, I've heard that she may be interested in the 7th. Felzkowski Green introduced a Forestry Revitalization Act. I think they had a press conference up in Hayward. I'm not going to lie. Like most of the times when I publish press releases, I don't even read them. Right, especially if they come with the headline and sub-headline already. I'm like, perfect. Headline, headline, copy, paste, done.
I like trees.
I like trees, right. But I actually read that one and was like, oh, wait, what's going on? That seemed like a bigger deal. Like this was your typical, we're introducing, here's an act, here's a presser. That seems like a big deal for people who didn't see that. What's that about?
So, yes, on Mary First, she's from Tomahawk, Senate President. I've heard she's been looking at it too. If she jumped in the race, she'd be really formidable. From Tomahawk, lifelong resident of the Northwoods, she'd be a strong candidate. But yeah, on the Forestry Revitalization Act, I would say this could be the largest single economic development project in northern Wisconsin, I would say in a generation, and the impact of it and how wide the impact would feel would be a game changer for the forestry industry. So what's the problem, Ben? We've had mill closures.
Yep.
I don't think the last mill in Wisconsin was built in the 70s. It's a tough industry. They have to be able to pivot when usage of products goes down. What else can we make to add value and continue to use the lumber and the feedstock that we have in northern Wisconsin? And we have an opportunity right now. There's a growing demand, and it's being mandated mostly by the Europeans, and the rest of the world would come to it, that by 2025, 2% of the world's aviation fuel has to come from a sustainable or renewable source, and that ratchets up by, I think, 2035, 2050, et cetera, forcing the aviation industry to use fuel that's more sustainable, not just your typical carbon fuel that we use today. The technology exists to turn our pulpwood or wood fiber through gasification and actually make jet fuel. And so at a time where we don't have strong markets for every species of wood or every type of wood, this could use the undesirable species or off products of wood. So for instance, Ben, let's say you own 40 acres of land in Spooner, your dad does, and you want a log. Mm-hmm. It's got a mix of red pine, some oak, some ash, some popple. Certain species are worth more than the other, right?
Trees, got it. Yeah.
Trees, yes. Different kinds of trees, right?
Okay, sure. Yeah.
And the logger comes in and says, I'd love to help you, but there's only a market for, maybe your red pine, and the oak's not worth anything because I don't have anywhere to go with the pulp, like the branches and other parts of the feedstock that I used to be able to sell. I could take it to the mill in Wisconsin Rapids and they would turn it into something, right? That mill is closed. Park Falls is closed. And so now that tree, when I'm cutting it, is worth a lot less. And so it's almost to the point where it doesn't pay for me to even cut the tree anymore. There's not enough value in that tree for me to go in, get it, haul it out, and mill it into something because I can't use every piece of the tree. So if we can make a market for the undesirable parts of our wood stock in Wisconsin, it would lift the values of every landowner in the entire state. And why is that important? My wife and I, when we bought our first 40 acres east of Cameron, I ended up logging it the second year we owned it, and that paid for our wedding. there was a strong market. We got top dollar when we thinned it out, and thinning is good for forestry health. And it paid for our wedding. If there was no market and a logger came in and said, man, everything's down, I got no place for oak bolts, I got no place for wood pulp, etc., just leave it right now. I mean, there's value sitting there, and then the forest changes, it gets older, the value changes as the trees change, and even forest health. So I would say, whether you are a landowner, whether you're a trucker or logger that's in the industry, whether you're a taxpayer in a county, we all are. Look at Douglas County, the millions they take in just on stumpage by logging on county forests. That directly funds police, that directly funds fire, infrastructure, roads, bridges. That money from forestry funds local governments even. And so if we can ensure that we have a market, a real market that can raise the value of our wood products, it literally benefits taxpayers, landowners, industry workers. It truly is a win-win. And not only that, for forestry health. So if for some reason you're not a taxpayer or you're not a landowner or you don't care about forestry, but maybe you just love trees, we know we have to continue to harvest trees at a certain timeline to maintain forest health, prevent disease, prevent fire. You know, we smelled all summer the wildfire smoke coming out of Canada, right? Yep. And so you need to be able to harvest and continue that. We plant in Wisconsin right now trees twice as fast as we harvest them. So I know we've had people say, well, you're going to cut all trees down just to make fuel? Like, no, we need to cut trees for forest health, and we're planting them twice as fast as we're harvesting because we don't have the market. So it literally is a win for forest health, a win for landowners, a win for habitat. When you log a forest, it creates that undergrowth for deer and wildlife for our outdoor men and women who like to recreate. So, man, it is a truly potentially monumental project to bolster the forestry industry, which is the second largest in the state behind agriculture, $42 billion. So we can either choose to allow the industry to decline. You know, we can choose to continue to see our mills close. We can choose to just accept this fate, or we can do something about it. And I want to do something about it. And that's what we're hoping to get done in Madison this session.
Well, if Felzkowski and Green, and now you are all for it, you're all Republicans.
Yep.
Because, everything you're saying is from the view, I would like to think, because you usually do this, like, here's the whole thing. But since seems to be a lot of Republicans are for it, that must mean by default Democrats are against it. I'm not ripping on Democrats. I think that's typically how politics works. If one side's for it, the other side has to be against. So what's the pushback going to be from the other side?
So I don't think there really will be. The question will be on the subsidy side. So there is a state investment, and that's going to be the heavy lift. And so we're going to create an enterprise zone in the city of Hayward to allow the company to qualify for tax credits of up to $60 million. And so I always argue those aren't state dollars. All we're saying is we're not going to tax you that we would have otherwise if you had just done this, and allow you to keep those savings. So in my mind, if the state never collected the dollar, it wasn't a state dollar. We're letting you keep some of your own money. God forbid, what a novel concept. So that would incentivize them. And then on the flip side, there'd be $150 million in bonding to go towards the construction of the plant. And in return, they're investing $1.5 billion. So if I said, Ben, give me $20 and I'll turn around and invest $150 into a project, would you take it?
Yeah.
Right. And at the end of the day, the benefits of just the industry, forest health, all the things we just talked about, right? The property taxes that plant's going to be paying towards Sawyer County and the school district, et cetera. 350 jobs during construction. I've got friends that work in the gas industry. There's going to be a couple $100 million worth of utility upgrades just coming into Hayward through power, infrastructure, and gas. And those are high-paying jobs. Wisconsinites working them, building that infrastructure. So I would say, we took a risk on Foxconn, hoping to bring something really industry-changing to Wisconsin. We invested in the Brewer Stadium to keep them here. It was important for that industry. It's important for Wisconsin. We invested in the Bucks arena as well. And man, it's time for Northern Wisconsin to take an opportunity for a state investment to really do a generational change up here. And I think this could really be it.
And when is this going to be on the table, or is it already now? I mean, when do you guys go back in? When is it going to start getting discussed? How soon could this all come to fruition?
Man, if the stars align and it goes right,
Yeah.
we could get it done this session, and then the construction would start. But this thing's it's so big, it wouldn't even be fully operational for 4 years. That's how long it's going to take to even get it going. And it's going to take more than a year just to get the electric power needed and the gas needed into Hayward. They have to upgrade all their lines coming in. So it'll take time. But if an industry can see that on the horizon, and there's a commitment to use at least 80% of wood only from Wisconsin. So it's going to be pulling from Polk County, from Iron County. And the thing is, when you're taking in more feedstock in a region, it can create more demand nearby, even if it's not coming right to Hayward, right? Because they're pulling feedstock that used to go east or used to go west. Mm-hmm. So, man, it's going to lift the entire industry. So we're going to have a hearing, I think, October 8th. We're going to have a joint hearing with the Assembly. We'll do it in one shot where we, take questions, let the public weigh in. I don't like joint hearings. I love my Assembly colleagues, but man, that gets to be a long day when you get both houses, both committees in one room. But we're going to get it done. And I don't want to make our loggers and our industry guys drive to Madison twice. So I'm willing to do a joint hearing, and then we'll get the ball rolling. It's going to be a big lift. And honestly, Ben, I don't think the lift is going to be on the Democrat side. It'll be on our side. Just the question of, is this corporate welfare? Is this a role for the state to invest? Is it too much for the return, et cetera? So these are the things we're going to have to work through, to sell, and to come together on.
Fair enough. Well, I'm excited to see this one go forward. Again, when I went back and actually read it, I'm like, I feel like this is a really, really big deal, not just your average, we're introducing this. Speaking of, and we have a whole bunch to get to, I don't think we will, but let's go a little quicker here on some of these. We had a press release from Representative Dave Armstrong. Representative Armstrong votes for Chippewa Valley Mental Health Facility. You've talked about this in a while, and honestly, I kind of thought this was already done. Wasn't it?
So we've worked on a number of fronts, and I'll try to go quick. We are running out of time. So we've been trying to get more beds for Chapter 51 folks in Northwest Wisconsin, so we don't take a Dave Wilson or someone off the force in Washburn County to drive a patient all the way to Winnebago or Mendota. But we need more health services before people reach crisis, right?
Yes.
And closer to home. And so we set aside $10 million for the development of a new mental health facility in Chippewa Falls. And so the money's already in the budget. Yep. Now we just have to pass the language to allocate it. I was already on Zoom meetings with my counterparts down there. They've already got the land, the site. They worked with the city, the county, et cetera, to get it going. And so we could have a new mental health facility. I think that could take both youth and adults, getting them treatment before they reach crisis to head off some of these worst instances that we see. So that's exciting. It's finally
is it going to get done? Because we've talked about this for quite a while. Is it going to get done?
I would say it's 95%. Now, someone could try to tank the bill, but the money is already there. It was in the budget. We passed it. Joint Finance can release it. If we can't get the bill done, I think there's other routes we can go to try to release the money, but I don't trust departments. And so we want a bill, we want a language. I don't want DHS coming saying, well, here's roughly our sketch of a plan. Please give us $10 million. And then they expand Mendota and Madison, right? Because the governor literally did that last time we set aside money.
I know, that's my concern. Is this one going to get done? Not that money going somewhere else or over to the cross or something. This one, because this is the one that we all need.
Yep. No, I would say 95%. If I was a betting man, I'd bet you a steak dinner, Ben. We're going to get her done.
Okay, I'm writing that one down.
Steak dinner. What is it?
Dinner.
September 25th. Romaine owes Ben Dryden steak dinner.
Yeah, there's the TV dinners, Salisbury steaks. Just saying, that's what you're getting if I lose that bet. Walmart. Election bills. I saw this week, or I think it was yesterday. Something happened down in Madison. I think Republicans and Democrats, something got together, talked about election bills, and apparently election integrity, election bills. Where are we on this? Republicans have introduced their version. Democrats kind of have their version. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of discussion going on. Here's a bigger question I want to ask you. Why doesn't this just ever get done? Why? I mean, we all want the same thing. Why can't it ever get done? It should be, you would think this is a pretty simple thing, what we need for our elections. Why isn't it simple?
Well, I think you already know the answer, Ben, right? It's politics.
It's politics, of course.
I've said this for the last couple of years. On the left, for the love of God, if you want Republicans to stop complaining about election integrity, why not just vote for the bills that really from your side don't do anything, right? If there's nothing going on, it doesn't stop someone from voting or make it harder to vote, just vote for the bill and sign it.
Right.
But when the governor continues to veto a dozen pieces of legislation that don't make it harder to vote, all you do is fuel the fire of saying, well, what do you have to hide? Or how could you possibly be against this unless you support XYZ or something that's going on, right? And so we could put a lot of this to bed, to your point, but I think it's politics, right? So if the left can say the Republicans are crazy, they're still talking about a stolen election, it benefits them, or they think it does. And on the right, it just feeds in the narrative. See, clearly it was stolen, because why would Democrats not support, turning over the voter rolls or the DMV rolls to the clerks to allow them to reconcile the books, right? Why would you not do that? So I would say I give a lot of credit to Representative Krug. Whenever he puts out a bill, he's thoughtful. He's a man of integrity, so I trust him. Now, doesn't mean I might support everything in the bill. I think he worked really hard to find a compromise. I haven't read them all yet. In exchange for like Monday count, they want to do more security on ballot drop boxes. So like every clerk would have to have a camera on any lockbox or drop box, in the state, that to be secured, etc. I think he already said like both sides are going to hate this bill. So which is why we need to do the bill. So we'll see what that looks like.
Speaking of Krug, so I have an excerpt here from a story this morning. So he's a Republican out of Rome. I didn't know that was a city. So I don't know who Scott Krug is, but this was an excerpt from a story. Representative Scott Krug says his Monday processing bill, is what it's referred to as, would help expedite the process of finding out the winner of an election. Quote, "We want to make sure that we include a process so that we can actually get those results across the finish line before we go to bed like 43 other states in the country," Krug said. Voters want three things in Wisconsin elections. They want to know the person voting next to them is who they say they are. They want to know that they're eligible to vote, and they want to know who won the damn election before they go to bed. What do you think about that?
That's a fact.
Yeah, so there you go. Just do that.
How do we get there, right? That's the question. I think that is a universally supported statement.
Yeah.
But how do we get there? So the problem with Monday count, at least on the Republican side, is twofold. So we are sick of, getting ballot dumps at 2 a.m. by Milwaukee, right?
Yeah.
Like Scott Walker's ahead, and all of a sudden you wake up the next morning, he's 100,000 votes behind,
right,
and there's only a few places left, and we lose the election, or Donald Trump, whoever it is. Their argument is, well, we can't start opening the absentee ballots, and more people are voting by absentee until the day starts. So by the time we actually open them all up, make sure they're legit, count them all, it is 2 a.m. So if you would let us start opening these on Monday, then we'd have the absentee ballots counted. So when we head into election day, we're not doing this until 2 a.m.
What's the problem with that?
The flip side is if you worry about chain of custody issues, which we've seen in Milwaukee County or even in Green Bay,
okay,
now potentially one side could know how many votes they're down or up going into Tuesday, right? If somehow someone could get the count of these ballots by Monday, now I know how much I'm short going into election day.
But would that change anything?
Well, the argument is if you think there's cheating going on, now you know how many more ballots you have to go find in order to win that night, because you know how far you're down ahead of time, right? So I would argue, and we're not near central count. Milwaukee has central count, where all the ballots from all these communities get trucked into one spot, and they're all open and counted there. I think we need to break up central count. There's no reason these communities can't count their own ballots. Why are we shipping them all to one location that takes forever, and that's a mess, and that we let election observers in but don't, and have all these problems? We have large communities in the state that count their own ballots. There's no reason these other communities can't. So I would argue a potential solution would be break up central count, make these communities in Milwaukee County count their own ballots, and I would argue there's more accountability there. You've got dozens of individual clerks responsible, which they already are, for their own election. And I'm not disparaging clerks. They've got a thankless job, especially in this political environment. Sometimes mistakes are made on purpose or on accident. So give them a little grace while we work through this. But I think that could be a potential solution. And there's other communities bigger than Milwaukee County that count their own ballots and don't do central count. So I think there could be something there.
Well, Annette Olson, love Annette. Ideology and politics are why election bills are so different and won't be agreed upon. Yeah, Annette, you're 100% right. But it's just, I'm tired. Just come on.
Right. So, example, Ben, real quick. I know we got to go.
Out.
I had a bill last session that simply said, when someone is deemed incompetent, the court has to notify the clerk to take them off the rolls. Once you've slowly lost your faculties, it's been deemed by your doctor, a judge, etc. We don't change the process, but just force them to contact the clerk to take them off. And then on the flip side, if you have a loved one, grandma, grandpa in a nursing home, and you're on their list of a caretaker, someone that comes in or makes sure they're okay, just notify your caretaker that, hey, just election of the clerk's coming in. We're voting next Wednesday, and we're going to be giving your loved one a ballot. Just a heads up, they're going to come vote. So if you ever had questions where, man, I really don't trust that, potential clerk or CNA giving grandpa a ballot and whatever, I just want to be there. And so all we're saying is just notify the loved one. They're voting that day. So we passed that bill and it was vetoed. And most people look at that and say, what is wrong with that? What is wrong with telling a clerk that someone has recently been deemed incompetent and should come off the voter rolls? And what's wrong with letting loved ones know that a potentially vulnerable voter, and now someone's going to take this and say, you think everyone in a nursing home is not competent and shouldn't vote? That's not what I'm saying. But like those situations, why can't you just notify your family member who takes care of everything else, finances, your health decisions, etc., that clerk's coming today to drop off ballots and he's going to vote, fill it out, and give it back that day, right? So I don't know. It plays on both sides to make sure nothing gets done, right?
Well,
that's politics.
I know, just freaking use logic. So dumb. Hey, I know I just got to ask you, we'll get into this another time. So I've heard a lot about, what did you say? It was ranked choice voting. So I've heard about that. And you mentioned it earlier in the show, so I looked it up. And at first, I'm not kidding you, I loved it. From an entertainment standpoint, I'm like looking at this like from a sports thing, like baseball. The season's almost over right now. And it's, okay, there's 4 games left, and then this team was the third, so if they win this one, they'll be playing the first round against this team. Like, I just love all that because it's just a lot of fun. And then I started like actually looking into it, and then I realized, wow, this is a terrible idea. One, it's really confusing, and two, how in the world does the first person not win that? Because then there's scenarios where like the person that ranked choice, nobody really even thinks that hardly about the second, third, or fourth anyway. Then a third could actually end up being the winner, or third or fourth in this ballot. I'm like, yeah, never mind. I don't like it. But from an entertainment standpoint, I think it would be fantastic. But I think it's too confusing. I think it's flawed in so many levels. What do you think about ranked choice voting? Just your overall view. We can get into it further in a future show.
I agree with everything you just said.
Okay. I should ask your opinion first, and then I would just align with yours. But yeah.
Someone's going to listen to that and go, what in the world did you just say? How does this work where the okay person that everyone could live with, your second date to prom, ends up winning because they didn't get enough votes the first 2 or whatever? I mean, that's the problem, Ben. It's confusing. And if we're at a point where we can't pass these other bills where people trust the process, how in the world
do you think you can introduce this
process and create confidence? You can't. And not only that, it's a nightmare for clerks. And I mean, we've seen it in other parts of the state. Some will argue everywhere it's been implemented, it hurts Republicans. I don't know if that's true or not. The data can play that out. But the point is, if we have trust issues now, don't insert more variables to create more trust issues. We just can't.
No, I was confused by it for the first 10 or 15 minutes reading it. It took me another 10 or 15 just to get like a decent idea. Like, okay, so the ballot would be this, and then the third. So then what would happen to the wait? So I'm like, oh my goodness. How many people aren't going to understand this? It's not like people are stupid, but it's like they just want to know. I'm going to go and vote for the person I want to vote for. It's that easy.
Yep.
Oh my 100%. Goodness. From an Angie says, from an entertainment standpoint, ranked choice voting is great. Agreed. Love it. Logical stand. Yeah. Well, in practice, not so much.
Well, I mean,
imagine 45 people on the ballot like Minneapolis had with RCV. I don't know who RCV is. That was another thing I thought of. Oh yeah, duh. That's what we're talking about. Was I started playing these hypotheticals. Why not just put as many people as possible? I mean, look at just even like a county board race or something. Just like, I don't like this person, so we're going to have as many possible people, because you could totally manipulate that.
Right. I mean, I get you want to empower people that may not have a shot because they're not, I don't know. There's so many issues.
There's just too many issues to it.
Just get involved in primaries, quit letting the 10% of each party pick the general election candidate, get involved in August, stop waiting until November, would fix a lot of this.
Yeah. All right, man. Maybe we'll see you next month.
Have a great day. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Special thank you to Wisconsin's 25th District Senator Romaine Quinn for taking the time to come on for a chat with us. And thank you, of course, for your comments and your questions today. I'll see all of you back here on Tuesday when I'll be joined by Chris Fitzgerald and a guest for our final Positive Tuesday Ben and Fitzy Show reunion episodes. So until then, for DrydenWire.com, I'm Ben Dryden saying thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.